Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I'm driving this. This is the Honda WRV and straight away let's open the engine bay of this vehicle. It says Honda iVTEC right there. Engine bay is quite empty. There's insulation right there and this is super duper light. I mean really this is extremely light of a hood. And up front you can see the WRV has literally got a facelift. Yes, that's right. It has literally got a facelift because the face has been lifted as such. So the grille is new. It gets these horizontal slats as well. Bold Honda logo up front. Chrome bar on either sides. And the lights have been revised. They say that they are all LED units. But they are not all LED units because the indicator is actually a halogen. But the lights look smart of course. And gets this blackened treatment inside. You see the attention to detail in the light? Very nice indeed. The fog lights are also LEDs and it gets this black surround. This is the towing hook of the vehicle. Of course, this is based on the Jazz and that's why the length of this car is 3999 mm, making it just under 4 meters in length. But compared to the Jazz, this has a slight higher ground clearance, a little bit more rugged appeal because of the body cladding which runs across the car. And the bigger wheels as well. The wheel size happens to be 195/60 16s. The alloy wheels actually look quite nice because they get the dual tone treatment as well. And compared to other cars in the segment, especially the Ford EcoSport or the Hyundai Venue or even the Kia Sonet for that matter, the WRV doesn't really come across as macho. Unfortunately, you get chrome door handles, you get request sensor, you can press a button or you can put your hand inside and it also unlocks the car, which is pretty cool. You've got roof rails which are not functional. There's the sunroof. And there is the antenna of the car. Now from the side not much has changed honestly, but at the rear again the tail lights have been revised. They get the LED treatment and the car does look a little different from the rear. You get rear parking sensors, you get a reverse parking camera here as well, and of course the lights look nice with the black treatment, LEDs too. But the indicator is not an LED, it's a halogen iVTEC VX, which is the trim level of this car. So please tell me, what do you think of the design of the Honda WRV? I know it is not as SUV as other cars in the segment. Actually, no car in the segment is an SUV in any way whatsoever. But the WRV feels more crossover in any which way. You see the boot is actually big in terms of size. Decent enough for a sub 4 meter vehicle. Spare wheel happens to be the same size, 195/60 16s, but is not an alloy. It's actually a steel wheel. You can increase the boot carrying capacity by reclining the seat, which only reclines in one piece. There is no split seat here, so you pull it from both the sides and it can recline to increase the boot carrying capacity of this vehicle. Again, the boot is very light. Now let's get inside the rear seat. The rear seat has good amount of space on offer. You see this good amount of space. The floor is almost flat as well and door pockets are decent size too. But unfortunately, there is a shocking omission when it comes to rear seat because there is no rear AC vent. Yeah, there is no rear AC vent. You see, yeah, no rear AC vent, no charging port either, no center armrest, no center headrest, no adjustable headrest. What is happening, Honda? What have you done? I mean, so much space at the rear. I mean, decent amount of space. Yeah, that's decent amount of legroom and knee room. Scooped out seat back too. Under thigh support is not that great. And the headroom is also not the best here. Okay, they have curved it to improve the headroom of the car. But, I mean, how can you not offer any of the creature comforts at the rear? So, I just don't understand the point of the rear seat. There's a hook here. There's of course a handle too. There's a handle on this side, no hook. The dashboard will remind you of the 4th generation Honda City or the Jazz or the old WRV because it is the same as before. They haven't made many changes to the car. Okay, the seat belt does not get the height adjust function, which is again disappointing, but the rear seat has really disappointed me on this car. It should have got magic seats. It should have got a center armrest, AC vent, charging port, adjustable headrest. How can they not give adjustable headrest? It's so freaking shocking. Anyways, let's get inside the car and let me tell you that not much has changed on the interior front either. The dashboard design actually looks very nice. The center console is tilted towards the driver. The seats are very nice actually. It gets this new contouring which actually is kind of sporty as well. Seats are actually very comfortable on this car. These are the controls for the power windows. This is to lock or unlock the vehicle. This is for the child lock for the power window function. And these are the controls for the outside rear view mirror. Pressing this button will obviously shut the outside rear view mirrors and press it once again and it will open it. There's a very handy cup holder here right in front of the rightmost AC vent, so you can actually cool your drinks. And there is no designated dead pedal. There is actually, but it's not properly done as such. This is the headlight leveler of the car. This is to adjust the Steering wheel, which only adjusts for height, obviously not for reach. The dashboard does feel nice enough. It's huge in terms of size. See the size of the dashboard. It's so big, that's what she said. And the hood is small, so it's easy to pilot this car. Quality levels are actually decent, although a lot of hard plastics, but they don't appear to be hard. Okay, because of the design of the A-pillar, there is this quarter glass, so a little bit of blind spot on the A-pillar side as well. Steering feels nice to hold, good treatment. This is obviously for the audio controls. This is for the cruise control function of the vehicle, and they have removed an HDMI port here to give you another USB charging socket, which is actually a good thing. There is a power outlet there as well. The glove box is decent size, not that big enough as such. This storage space here, you can keep stuff all over the place. In fact, the front center armrest also has storage space, and there is a power outlet right inside too, which is actually a good thing, making this a big front center armrest storage. The twin cup holders here, there's storage space here as well. So plenty of storage space in the Honda WRV. In fact, the front door pockets are also decent sized. Now it's an all black sort of a cabin, but they have given this silver finish around the AC vents as well. Piano black finish in the center. You've got this silver sort of finishing here too. So yeah, seatbelt height is a little on the lower side, personally speaking. And the instrument cluster is actually quite nice because you've got a nice display on the rightmost side. Now this gives you a lot of information. You can just press this to toggle through. It tells you the range. It's got twin trip meters, what is the average fuel economy of the vehicle, and of course the clock as well. So yeah, this is actually nice. I prefer this over the one on the new Honda City. And this is the real-time fuel economy indicator. An analog speedometer and analog tachometer, telltale lights placed everywhere. These are obviously the controls for the wipers. The wipers actually, okay, these are actually the controls for the headlights. I was driving the Volkswagen T-Roc, that's why I got confused. These are the controls for the wipers. The wipers work decently well, lot of spray on offer, but no auto dimming inside rear view mirror. That is the glaring omission. And right here you get a mirror, but you don't get a light. And on this side you also get a mirror, which is a good thing because many cars are not offering the same. This is where the light placement of the car is, and there is a sunroof on offer as well. Press this button and the sunroof opens. The sunroof size is decent, it's not really big as such. Meanwhile, there is a light placement here in the rear as well. Press this button to turn off the sunroof, which brings me to the infotainment system. Now this is a 7-inch screen. It's not the best. It gives this unnecessary warning every time you turn it on, which is extremely irritating. This is the map of the car, rather the navigation system, which is okay, fine, but it's not that great to use. It has Android Auto, it has got Apple CarPlay, but it's not the most fluid, and the problem is that it's not very visible in bright sunlight, so I can't really see what is there on the screen right now. Let's play an audio right away. Thankfully, there are physical controls for the audio system, and some physical controls have been given. This is for the hazard light, of course, but you know, this is prone to a lot of fingerprints, the piano black finish. And you obviously get a touch panel for the air conditioning, which is a climate control system, which works really nice as well, but yeah, sometimes not the easiest to use as such. Let's turn that off for a moment. It gets a reverse parking camera. Again, the view is not that great. I mean, the resolution of the camera isn't that great, but you can obviously change the view if you want. Zoomed view is good because it shows you what is there down as well. So yes, the camera has multiple functions, but could have been a bit more clearer. This is the engine start button, which has this glowing red treatment, which also looks quite nice. But honestly, everything is more or less the same as before. Not much has changed in the Honda WRV, which means that we should get driving right away. Air conditioning off, into first gear, revving the motor, revs till 4000 RPM, and off we go. 6,500 RPM red line, around 45 kilometers per hour in first. Second gear will take you to 80 kilometers per hour. And you see, the performance is not that exciting at all, which is shocking for a Honda petrol powered engine which has VTEC power. In fact, in third gear, it goes beyond 120 kilometers per hour. Motor is super duper refined, very smooth lower down, can barely hear a thing. But once you get past the mid-range, it becomes super duper loud, kind of coarse, and feels uncomfortable too. The VTEC magic is completely missing here, which is absolutely shocking. Although braking performance is very nice, sure-footed, a Honda car which is not under-tired, well, yeah, that is the case of the WRV. Stops dead in its track, but then you see the Vitara Brezza has a bigger height, so this is more Jazz, which is slightly raised up. Doesn't give you the SUV feel at all. I'm actually feeling like I'm driving the Jazz. So what powers this car? It is a 1.2 liter iVTEC motor which produces 90 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, and the torque output happens to be 110 Newton meters at 4,800 RPM. It's got good amount of low end pep. In fact, low end punch is good, it's drivable, but it's not that drivable as say Honda's 1.5 liter VTEC motor, which actually powers the City. So yes, low end performance could have been better, but mid range is absolutely flat. So initially it gets going, then it goes to sleep in the mid range. It's absolutely sort of dead in the mid range, has no enthusiasm whatsoever. That's very disappointing. And then it wakes up at around 5000 RPM and then rushes to the 6500 RPM red line. So overall performance is something very average for a VTEC motor, which is a big surprise and a shock to me as well. I expected so much more. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour actually takes 15 seconds. That's a lot of time to go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. And braking performance has not an issue at all actually. Ground clearance is also decent at 188 mm. Revving the motor, it doesn't wheel spin at all because the motor is just kind of lackluster for enthusiastic driving. In the city, it's about fine because performance is decent in the city, drivability is good and all that stuff. But out on the highway, it just feels so lethargic. 15 seconds to go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour makes it 2.5 seconds slower than the Maruti Swift. That's baffling. And it's not the weight of this car. I know it weighs around 1100 kgs, not as much as say other compact SUVs which are based on their hatchback counterparts does, but it is just not having the go. With BS6 emission norms coming into play, they have dulled the performance even further, so it doesn't reflect in the output numbers, but performance is a little dull now. It's not that exciting. In fact, fuel efficiency has also gone down by 1 km per liter on the petrol model. This one returns a fuel economy of 16.5 kilometers per liter as per ARAI. In the real world, you would get around 9 to 12 kilometers per liter depending on your driving style and depending where you would be driving. Refinement, great. Absolute vocal in the top end. Mid-range, absolutely lacking. VTEC magic, not there at all. I don't even think this is a VTEC motor. They've put the VTEC badge on it, but I don't think there is any VTEC magic. I mean, there's no VTECness only here. It doesn't have the characteristics of a VTEC engine, which is absolutely shocking to me. My goodness, Honda, how did this engine come into play in the first place? Little bit of wheel spin. The car feels really slow to drive, lacks fun. And if you're looking for a WRV, just do me a favor, get the diesel, not the petrol. This 1.2 liter petrol engine might be a 4-cylinder unit, but kind of has the 3-cylinderness in terms of performance. All the 3-cylinder engines also perform better than this. So I'm quite shocked and surprised today by experiencing the WRV's lackluster petrol engine. Come on Honda, drop this engine, give us a 1 liter turbo petrol with a manual gearbox. That would do justice to the Honda VTEC badging on this car. Because you have that VTEC engine, please get it to India, plonk it in the WRV. Already you're charging a premium. The premium would be justified with that fab engine. The good thing is though that the clutch is on the lighter side, the gearbox is slick shifting, and this car is best driven with a sedate foot. So right now I'm driving in 5th gear. It is a 5-speed gearbox and just ambling around at say 3000 RPM at 90 kilometers per hour. That is where this car actually feels at home. You know, if you want to make quick overtakes, you have to really downshift. And when I say downshift, I'm downshifting to second. Motor is trying to go past 6500 RPM. Okay, we have upshifted to third right now. So in order to drive this car on the highway, you have to be in the lowest gear possible. Otherwise, this car simply does not feel comfortable at all. It just feels uneasy. It just feels out of where the fair play is for this vehicle, and that is a bit of a problem. I don't know why I'm skipping gears. I skipped 4th, I came into 5th because there's just not the grunt I was expecting from a Honda VTEC powered car. And the same is the case with the Jazz and any other car which uses the same engine. Only thing is the Brio was super duper light, so yes, the engine was still okay in the Brio, but in the WRV it just doesn't cut the mustard, unfortunately, and that's disappointing. Let's downshift to 3rd. There you ring the motor, and that is the only way you would get good progress from this car. Although I have to admit, Honda has done a great job with the suspension balance, because the ride and handling balance of this car is very, very, very good. Excellent suspension tuning. It is slightly on the stiffer side, but really very compliant. And body roll is also well in check, because obviously it doesn't have the height of a traditional compact front wheel drive SUV as such. So yes, body roll is well contained as well. Yeah. You run out of breath because you're near the red line, you don't make progress, and your mind does not plan an upshift because you're like, we didn't reach far, we've already hit the red line. Are you serious? the horn is actually on the inside. It rings on the inside, doesn't ring on the outside. I can hear it more than people can hear it on the outside. That's kind of unfortunate, but the ride and handling balance is really great on this car. The steering is also very nice. Little bit of slack in the center position, but for the most part, a very well engineered steering wheel which has good amount of feel and feedback. It is light at lower speeds, does weigh up at higher speeds, and the overall performance of this car in terms of dynamics, high speed stability, all that is very good. High speed stability, well, it does a top speed of around 145 kilometers per hour. It gets breathless as you keep going higher up in the gears, and the gearing is done such that it doesn't excite you. Forget the excitement. The VTEC punch and the soul is just lacking here. It's just not present. So many 1.2 liter engines which offer such great performance. This one does not. Now, the Honda WRV has a very simple variant lineup. It comes with just 4 variants. Actually 2 trims, 4 variants because diesel in 2 variants, petrol in 2 variants. That's it. 1 base, 1 top. Yeah. The range actually starts at rupees 10 lakhs on road Mumbai and goes up to 11.32 lakhs or 38 lakhs for the top of the line VX trim, which I'm driving right now for the petrol top end. The diesel base actually costs around 35,000 more than this one. So starts at around 11.7 lakhs and goes all the way to 13.22 lakhs for the top end diesel VX. So in terms of pricing, yeah, you are paying a little bit more than you should be, considering this car does not have many features and this facelift hasn't brought anything new to the table. It is just done for the name's sake, probably because they were like, we are updating the engine anyways to comply with BS6 emission norms. Why not just call it a facelift by giving it a new grille and new seat covers as well. So very minor changes as such in this car. The diesel is so much better, 100 horsepower, 200 Newton meters of torque. That's a Toyota Land Cruiser. Looks absolutely slick. I'm seeing so many Jazzes today. Can't you see so many Jazz cars? But the good thing about the WRV is the short bonnet now makes it super easy to drive this car and pilot it in the city. It's such a nice car to drive. It's just like the Jazz, little bit jacked up. It's the Jazz which went to the gym and had Bonvita, so the height has grown a bit. And in that sense, yeah, it's a practical and a nice car, spacious enough, big boot, not really big as such, but big enough. But it's really the rear seat space which is big, but unfortunately the rear seat is not very practical. So I'm like having a mixed reaction with the Honda WRV, thinking that some things are good, some things are bad, but overall it's just an average product at best. At least the petrol, because the petrol does not justify the VTEC badging. The diesel of course feels so much slicker, is more fuel efficient as well. All the fuel efficiency is dropped on the diesel as well, because Honda is now complying with BS6 emission norms, so fuel efficiency is dropped there, which is also quite surprising because the route they've taken to actually make the cars comply with BS6 emission norms has dropped the fuel efficiency of the car, the performance, the initial punch as well. So a lot of changes here and there, making the WRV not as exciting as it was earlier. That said, I have to admit that the Jazz makes so much more sense. It doesn't even come with a diesel engine right now. Want to make a quick overtake, downshift to the lowest gear possible. Here in case we are in second gear, motor is like telling me upshift. Okay, we upshift, and that's how it happens. So should you buy a Honda WRV? Honestly, this seemed more like a stopgap measure of offering a compact SUV for the Indian market. We should have got something more convincing. This is crossover at best, honestly. And if you see the lineup abroad of Honda cars, well, there is of course the HRV, which should have been launched in the Indian market. The WRV just does not excite the petrol version, but still, because of the Honda's badging, reliability, easy maintenance, durability and all those things, it still managed to sell in decent numbers. It's also got the all-important sunroof, one of the cheapest cars in the country to come with a sunroof, and that's the reason why it sold in decent numbers when it was on sale during the BS4 times. So guys, this is my vlog of the Honda WRV. If you're a Honda fan, you might be disappointed, but I'm a Honda fan and I'm certainly disappointed. I expected a lot more. I expected some punch. I expected the VTEC kicked in your feeling, which somehow is only restricted to the city, not even there in the CRV. Yeah, that is to do with the gearbox of course, and the weight too. You are just going to love the ease of driving this car, also the ease of parking. Just look at it, body roll is so well contained, thanks to the fact that the height is obviously on the lower side of this car when compared to traditional compact SUVs. So you win some, you lose some, but not really people care much about the dynamics, but performance would have been a big boon. Honda needs to re-engineer their engine. It just makes noise, it doesn't move ahead, unfortunately. yeah, the big tires give it good stopping power for sure. And I've stalled it. Neha, you didn't put it in neutral. What are you doing?
Like, you are driving.
Honda does such a fab job on the suspension tuning now. It's absolutely stunning. Just the right balance, just the right feel. Fantastic. Only thing, if the engine had the oomph to justify the VTEC badging, that would have been amazing. And on that bombshell, it's time to end. If you like this vlog, वो सब बोल चुके हैं यार, बंद करो, bye bye.